This is Jack Harry, and I'll be bringing you all the highlights of how the West was won in a special program Wednesday night at 7 here on TV5.
If I go back to spring training and you tell me that Busby's not going to pitch, we're going to lose Splitoff for almost half a season, and Bird's going to be out a couple months, and John Mayberry's going to only hit 13 home runs, I don't think that I would have been as optimistic.
I think the closer we got, the more tense things got. Guys knew it was right in their reach, and it was just a matter of going out and getting it. And by coming down to so close a thing, I think it made better men out of everybody.
Being in your hometown, this is something I've lived for ever since I was 10 years old, helping my hometown team to the championship. And it's just been a tremendous year.
KCMO Television Sports presents an in-depth look at the Western Division champion, Kansas City Royals.
Good evening. Tonight, TV5 Sports presents a close-up special on how the Royals won the West. You know, it's been a remarkable success story in a short period of time. The Royals, in their bid to win the division, got an early start. The ball club took over first place back on May 18th and never relinquished that position. The Royals have put together the best one-loss record for any expansion franchise in its first 8 years. As you well know, the Royals struggled in the final month of the season, and at times it appeared the dreams of thousands of Kansas Cityans would become nightmares. Well, then 1 week ago tonight, in Oakland, those thoughts were put to rest. Veteran Cookie Rojas came through with a perfectly executed two-out bunt, and the Royals were on the way. Amos Otis, who had been benched for 2 previous games in Oakland, uncorked a double into the right field corner and also connected for a home run. But the big story was the brilliant 4-hit pitching of Larry Gura. And then came the final out. Big John Mayberry said he didn't think that ball was ever going to come down. The Royals had been accused of choking down the stretch by the A's and of playing scared. Larry Gura comments.
Well, I don't think we were scared, because if we were scared, we wouldn't have gone out there. But we were hitting the ball good. We just couldn't hit the ball in any holes, whereas tonight we hit the ball as good as we did last night, except we found holes tonight. So as far as being scared, I doubt that very much. Otherwise, we wouldn't go out there.
Are there any thoughts of Billy Martin on your mind in the later innings?
Yes, definitely. I mean, he's been on my mind ever since I got over here, and I'd like to pitch all 3 ball games if I could, but I know that wouldn't be possible.
The battle for the American League hitting title went right down to the final day of the season. George Brett had 2 doubles and an inside-the-park home run to capture the crown with a .333 average. For Brett, it was his 29th 3-hit game of the season. The 23-year-old third baseman beat out teammate Hal McRae by a single point and finished 3 points ahead of Rod Carew of the Twins. Now, George Brett will be the first one to tell you he is sorry about the way he won that hitting title. Brett felt he may have been given 2 of his hits by lackadaisical Twins outfielders. On the other hand, McRae had to be physically restrained from going after Twins manager Gene Mock, who McRae claimed ordered Steve Bry to let Brett's 9th-inning homer bounce in front of him. For George Brett, it turned out to be an outstanding year. He led the league in hits, 215, in total bases, and in triples. Brett may have very well reached superstar status in the period of just 3 seasons. But more importantly, Brett is a fine young man. He makes numerous speaking engagements in the offseason, seldom accepts a dime. After the Royals clinched at least a tie last week in Oakland, the real George Brett came forward in the Royals clubhouse. Where'd you pick up that hat, George?
I got off the guy over there. He said he has 40 hats, and he picked the right one to wear tonight. And I just hope we can bring the Chiefs a little luck. You know, I've been wearing this. This is the first time I've worn it, but I picked the right or an opportune time, I think.
George, you know, so much has been said maybe in the last week or so. Some of the press that perhaps the Royals are choking, they're playing scared. There wasn't that feeling tonight when you took the field, was there?
I tell you, tonight of all nights, I think we should have been the scaredest or the tightest. But we went out tonight for some reason, and I was out in the hotel room today, and I had a little problem falling asleep last night. I'm not afraid to admit it, but I could feel the pressure. I felt anxious to go out there and win. We lost the 2 games the 2 prior nights, and this meant this is a big game of the year, and I heard last night a couple of guys saying, well, it's at least an $8,000 game, because if we win, we're guaranteed about $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. So I was having problems sleeping for a while last night, and I came to the ballpark and I saw how loose everybody else was, and then it kind of got me keyed down, and oh, what a great feeling. I don't know how to explain it. Everybody says how great it is to win a World Series game or your division. Well, I feel like we just won the World Series in the 7th game, and I hit a home run. That's how excited I was out there. And
if you think Brett was excited in the clubhouse, well, you should have seen him 2 nights earlier on the playing field. A Dennis Leonard pitch hit Don Baylor of the A's, and the brawl was on. George Brett was one of the first players there.
I know I don't get along with a lot of guys in our team, and I don't think they like me that much either. And I was looking for some of them, and I'm sure they were looking for me. But I think the thing that saved me from maybe getting beat up was Joe Rudy grabbed me, and I admired Joe so much. And I think if it was anybody else, I would have just tried to get away. But Joe grabbed me, and I just did whatever he said, because he's been around a lot longer. And you know, he's just a good friend of mine, I think. And I just tried to. I don't want to get him mad at me, because I think next year he could be playing for the Royals very easily, and he could help our team a lot. So whatever Joe Rudy wants to do, I'll do it.
Great victory tonight. It's good to get out of this place. The fans were something else here.
Well, they're probably the worst fans in the league for 2 reasons. If they would come out in large numbers all the time, you could sort of tolerate the things they do, but they don't come out to the ballpark, and the few that are out here, you know, just harass you all the time, throw whiskey bottles at you, holler at you all the time, use a lot of bad language, and it's not the ideal place to play.
Manager Whitey Herzog is well known to Kansas City baseball fans. He and his wife, Mary Lou, and 3 children have made their home in Independence since 1958. Herzog took over the managerial reins of the Royals in July of 1975, replacing the ousted Jack McKeon. One of the reasons the Royals have enjoyed success is the fact Herzog has great rapport with his players. Now, Whitey will also tell you he has surrounded himself with some outstanding baseball men.
Well, I think that any manager is only as good as his players and his coaches. And I think when a manager has a coaching staff or selects a coaching staff, he should have coaches that he feels can manage a ball club. And my coaches are just outstanding people. They're outstanding teachers. They're outstanding workers, and they communicate well with my players. And I don't think there's a coaching staff in baseball that compares to my coaching staff. I sincerely feel that way. We got coaches that know what it's all about, and they're loyal to me, of course, and they work hard. And I think you could ask any one of my players, and they'd just say we have a great coaching staff.
You know, you enjoy great popularity among the fans in the Midwest. Of course, you've been honest with the press, you've been honest with the media, and I guess you've been the same with your players, and that's meant a lot to this team's success, hasn't it?
Well, I always felt this way. When I got out of baseball as a player, and I wasn't a very good player, I quit at 32 because I felt I couldn't fool them anymore. I went to scouting, and then I coached for Finley, and I was the first guy to ever leave Finley. I just couldn't put up with it, and I told him to get the mule to coach for him, and I went to the Mets. But I think the turning point for me was going to the Mets, the fact that the press in New York was very good to me, and all of a sudden my name got mentioned for a few managerial jobs, and my 6 years with the Mets were well spent and worked for good people. Well, of course, Joe, I got to thank Joe Burke for giving me another chance to manage in big leagues. You know, there's not too many managers that ever got a chance to manage in the big leagues that weren't stars to begin with. And to just be a mediocre player and to get a chance to manage, which I did in Texas with the last place ball club, and have a dismal won-and-loss record trying to put the ball club together and giving some young pitchers a chance to play. And in all fairness, we didn't bring up anybody from AAA that year that we thought needed a year at AAA, and we were struggling. There's no doubt about it. And then I got fired, of course, in September, and with my won-and-loss record, I doubted very much whether I'd ever get another chance to manage in the big leagues. And, of course, I have to thank Joe Burke that I did. And he gave me a chance, and now I have a good ball club, a good ball players, good guys. I mean, you couldn't, I'm 4 miles from home, and it just couldn't be any better. And I just have to thank Joe Burke for what's happened. But I always figure this way, if I can't be honest to the press or to the media or to the players, then I should get out of the game, because once you have to lie, you're going to get in trouble. And if I ever have to do that, I'll just get out of baseball.
This guy, first of all, has put us as a family, I would say. In the past years, we didn't know where we stood, really. We didn't know what jobs were required of us. I know many a time he's called down the bullpen phone and said, look, the next inning you'll be in there to face so-and-so hitter, or I'm only going to pitch you 1 or 2 innings. Just go out there and go as long as you can, as hard as you can. And I know, like the other day in Oakland, when I was pitching that first game against Oakland, I threw 2 strong innings. But after that, I didn't have much after that, because I went so hard those 2 innings, and it's been a long year. I didn't tell him that, though, but he saw that in me. He took me out in the 9th inning. And just an inner peace to know that your manager knows you that well, and that he's going to win ball games that way.
I want to go back to an incident that happened in Kansas City during the Oakland series, Whitey, the binocular story. This is nothing new, is it?
No, not really. I mean, we know. I mean, there was a guy in the stands that was watching the Oakland bullpen, and Fingers was watching our catcher with the binoculars. Now, Oakland can say anything they want to, but well, the reason they're watching our catcher was the fact that they're trying to find out what kind of switch we're using with a runner on second and trying to find out really what our signs were. They weren't giving the signs to the hitter from the bullpen, but they were telling the bench what we were using, so when they got a man on second, that he could relay the signs to the hitter. And when Rudy got the base hit, fastball inside exactly where we were trying to pitch him, and he lined the ball down left field line, well, I said, well, they got us now, you know, and that's when I put a stop to it. And the only thing that bothered me was, you know, that Mr. Shylock said that there's no rule against it. Well, don't tell me there's no rule against it. You're not supposed to cheat, or you're not supposed to do anything unfair. It's done all the time, and when you get caught, there should be some kind of penalty for it. And well, we got the binoculars, and of course they gave them back to Bando after the game, but I really should have took the binoculars and kept them, and at least I'd have gained something out of it.
Have you ever used them yourself before?
Well, I'm not going to answer that because I don't want to say yes or no. I don't want to lie to you, Jack, but no, if we could get them, I'd get them. I mean, if it's there's no penalty for having a pair of binoculars in the bullpen, I think we should take them down ours.
The man primarily responsible for bringing championship baseball to Kansas City after a long time, about 22 years, of course, is Royals owner Ewing Kauffman. And I guess, Mr. Kauffman, this has to be one of the most enjoyable moments of your life right now.
It certainly is. It's filled with exaltation and happiness that this team came through, but especially that they did it for all the fans of Kansas City, because they've been so wonderful to us.
You know, so much had been said and written about the Royals. They did not perform all that well in the second half of the season. They had their problems. They were choking. They were scared to win down the end. Did you have confidence all the way?
I never lost my confidence until it faltered momentarily when we lost the 2 games out in Oakland. But as far as this choking is concerned, you can't have that allegation because 40% of the team weren't choking. That was the pitchers, because they pitched beautifully all the way through. The fellas just fell off a little bit in their hitting, and it's just a matter of playing under pressure, and I think it was good for them that they had to play under pressure because they'll play that much better against New York.
Mr. Kauffman, you put together a very solid organization from top to bottom. Do you play an active role in the day-to-day operations of the Royals?
Not a bit. It's turned over to competent baseball people who know so much more than I, and they almost have 100% authority and responsibility. It is only in a matter of philosophy or in large trades of our stars that they might come to me and say, do I object to doing this? And I ask them to explain why they might want to, and usually would approve it, because after all, that's what they're hard to do.
You mentioned large trades. Would this involve the key ball players on the team?
Anytime a key player is involved, because that involves public relations, then they would discuss it with me. Other than that, why, they have 100% authority.
Well, I think you finally got into the black this year. You made some money with the ball club.
We did, and I'm happy for that, because for the first time, we'll be able to do a little bit better for our front office personnel, because they've been loyal and dedicated, and this will give us an opportunity to do that.
Mr. Kauffman, I believe you had made this statement several times that if you had this to do over again, you've invested a lot of money in this baseball team in Kansas City, perhaps you would put the money to better use for the community. Now that you've attained this championship caliber ball club in Kansas City, do you still feel the same way?
No, my feelings have changed. I felt I could more wisely spend it. I didn't worry about it being spent, but I could have done more good with it. But I've been amazed. This year has taught me in amazement the reaction of all the people of Kansas City at all levels of life, of how important it is to them to have a winning sports team here in this city, and the attention, and as the editor of the Star told me, that I didn't realize how many thousands of people got up in the morning and started off their day happier because they read about the Royals winning. So no, I will retract that statement.
You're a real baseball fan, too,
Yes,
a knowledgeable one.
I love baseball. I never miss a game here in Kansas City.
Have you followed it for many years?
Not very much prior to the time I became involved, but since then I've missed 6 games in 7 years in Kansas City.
How about Mrs. Kauffman? She's played a major role in this for you, hasn't she?
She certainly has, and she's just as avid a fan as I am. In fact, she may cheer and holler a little bit more than I do.
You drew nearly 1,700,000 this year. I think this says a lot about Kansas City. We touched upon it, but I think there are something like 9 major markets in the United States that have Major League sports, and as far as drawing area, we're number 9. So this has to be very gratifying to you, Mr. Kauffman.
Well, as I understand it, the final figures, we are 6th highest of the 24 teams that play baseball. And the remarkable thing is that we have the least drawing area. Within 50-mile radius of our ballpark, there live 1.6 million people, and 100% of them came out to see baseball this year, and that's never been done before in any baseball history.
What do you see for the future of the game? You know, many people say it was dull at times, and maybe baseball was winding down. Now it seems to come back. It's catching fire. I believe they set attendance records across the nation this year.
Well, I think the taste of the general populace has changed slightly, that they want to go back to something that is maybe slightly more involved, a little more intelligence required, less violence. And as a result, they're returning to baseball, and the youngsters are acquiring a liking for it. I don't think there's any doubt that baseball will continue to be as popular and even more popular than it has been in the past.
Now, we have the 2 expansion teams coming into play next year. What's this going to mean to the Royals? You're going to lose some good ball players, aren't you?
We are going to lose some good ball players. I think much better ball players than we got when we expanded. But Toronto should have a team, and Seattle should have a team, and I think it's going to make it more interesting. I fully expect that the Royals will be number 1 again next year in our division.
In what areas, I'm going to put you on the spot here, Mr. Kauffman. Of course, you're not the field manager. You are the boss. In what areas do you think your club needs help to stay at the top?
I think we can stay at the top with our present team. But we would like to improve, probably a right-handed power hitter, and possibly some catching help.
Your general manager has come under criticism from time to time, perhaps for not making trades when players were available. What are your feelings? Are you completely in accordance with what Joe Burke has done?
Well, I don't know all the things that Joe Burke has done or hasn't done. I am satisfied, and I'm very happy with Mr. Burke. I think that some people like to talk trades when they don't know what they're talking about. Sure, it would be nice for us to trade for a Reggie Jackson, but we're not going to give up what's necessary to get him in players in order to do it. Mr. Burke has done well. He's come up with 2 beautiful pitchers with not hurting our baseball team, and I'm talking about Hassler and Gura, 2 left-handed pitchers which today are extremely difficult to find. So I'm very happy with Mr. Burke.
You know, Whitey Herzog has said if you had told him back in spring training that he was going to have to go through the season without a Steve Busby, a Paul Splittorff injured, and perhaps a John Mayberry not living up to his potential, he would have never been in the playoffs. How do you feel?
I agree with him. I couldn't believe it that we could do that. And it just shows how strong the rest of the team is, the bench strength we have, and the good fortune in Mr. Burke, which part of it was due to Whitey's recommendations, getting Hassler and Gura.
Mr. Kauffman, as we close, I want to put you on the spot here.
All right.
We go to the World Series. Who do you think will be the
I think Cincinnati will win in the National League. I believe the Royals will win here. I think we'll win both games at home, lose the 3rd one in New York, and win the 4th one and wrap it up.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kauffman, and again, congratulations. Outstanding ball club this year.
Thank you, Jack.
We had the opportunity on a recent road trip to the West Coast to spend a good part of the day with second baseman Frank White. We went on a sightseeing tour of San Francisco with minicam operator Ibel Garza. I can readily recall Frank's first words when we hit the big city. "This is not for me," he said. "This place is too big. I prefer good old Kansas City." Well, that statement is typical of Frank White. What a super young man. Frank's had a tough battle to the big time. He came out of the Royals Baseball Academy, and that puts enough pressure on any young man. Frank was a utility infielder for 3 seasons, bouncing from position to position before nailing down that #1 job at second base this year. It was a tough go, but Frank White never lost confidence in himself.
When you read about, guys being a regular, guys like Joe Morgan and Dave Cash and all the other guys, and then you look at other ball clubs where you see second basemen that you don't think are as good as you are. And so you want to be a one-position man. You want to be a regular, you want to be steady. But when you have to keep moving around, it's kind of hard to really pin one position down. Last year, I played in about 60 games at second base, and I led the league in fielding. So that helped my confidence a lot right there. And then when I came in this year as a regular, then, you could notice that, every time Cookie came to bat, he got the big cheers and everything. And it just seemed kind of odd to me, that being from Kansas City, that, I wasn't appreciated in that respect. I know I hadn't shown anything, but at least I wanted to be appreciated. And I thought by cheering, that would be the best way to do it. But, I found out in this game, you have to hit, you have to do the little things, you have to help the team win, and then you're appreciated. So you have to earn whatever you get, and nothing's given away. I think now, I'm more accepted now, and I think the biggest thrill of the whole season for me was being Player of the Month in August, and that's something I'm going to be proud of for a long time, because, we have a club with a lot of talent, and the type of ball players we have, it's kind of hard for anybody that's not hitting 300, not doing all the other things to get an achievement like that, and it was something that I really was looking forward to.
The Royals pitching staff has been outstanding all year long, and what makes it so remarkable is the fact Steve Busby was lost for the season, Paul Splittorff was sidelined, and Doug Bird had injury problems off and on. Now, despite all of this, the Royals were at the top or led the league in earned run average most of the way. The bullpen was a major strength. Guys like Mark Littell and Steve Mingori put the fire out time after time. Mingori, a native of Kansas City, had some doubts about the future before the season got underway.
Last winter, we built an indoor mound in the ballpark in the tunnels, and I started working out in January, and after about a week, I developed a sore shoulder, the same one I've always had, and it just got to me. I just said, well, I got to do something. I can't go through another year with the pain that I had. So by luck, I ran into a doctor in Overland Park who used acupuncture, and I first became acquainted with acupuncture when I was with Cleveland, and they had a Japanese baseball team in Arizona training, and they used acupuncture on their pitchers. The needles they stick in your arm are right here, and they're about this long. Now they stick 3 back in the injured area. They stick 1 here, and they stick 1 here, and they go here and in your thumb, and all the way up to the other side, all the way up your back here. And what it does really is it stimulates the nerves. Like they have nerve charts. And like the central nervous system has only been discovered in the last 50 years, I think. Not only does it stimulate the nerves, but it breaks up adhesions. Adhesions in a picture are scar tissues and maybe blood that are deep in your shoulder. You can't give a sound of it. These needles are about that long, and they go right in there. So I had 4 consecutive treatments. I rested for a while, and I started throwing again. I had no pain. My arm felt strong, and it gave me confidence. It built me up mentally, and I just took it from there. I just knew from there I was going to have a great year, and I always felt that this was going to be the year Kansas City was going to win it all.
The Royals go for the big marbles now. Saturday afternoon, they open a best-of-5 series with the New York Yankees for the American League Championship. As Royals owner Ewing Kauffman told us earlier tonight, this is only the beginning. The Royals will be providing Kansas Cityans with exciting baseball for many years to come. And manager Whitey Herzog wants to be a part of it. I asked the Royals field boss if winning the whole thing would bring a multi-year contract.
Well, I really haven't discussed anything this time. I see that a lot of people are getting long-term packs, but I think mostly now that the way I look at it, if I could get a good contract, I know we've made money this year, and I don't know what even all the managers in baseball are making, but I think that I'd be very happy as long as my coaches could make a little bit more money, and where they could save some and feed their families. They all got kids ready to go to college and everything, and just give me a one-year contract, but with the understanding when I'm through, I stay in the organization as in anything they'd want me to and make a reasonable salary. And I don't want to hang anybody. If they don't want me to manage her, then I shouldn't manage her. That's the way it is. And, you know, there comes a time in baseball when you're going to get a couple sore arms or a couple of guys hurt and the club's going to lose and the fans are going to turn against you, stay away from the ballpark, and they got to fire the manager. It happens all the time, and it's going to happen to Whitey Herzog, too.